Well, for more on what the talks with the Taliban might mean for the United States in Afghanistan, I'm joined by Dr. Adam Lockyer. He's a lecturer in politics and foreign policy at the US Studies Centre at Sydney University. Adam Lockyer, the Taliban has previously broken off contact with the Americans. That was last year. They were also at one stage refusing to negotiate with Afghan officials. Why do you think they're interested in talks now?
I think because Pakistan has been applying pressure onto the Taliban to reopen lines of negotiation with the United States. So Washington has been applying pressure to Pakistan, and Pakistan has been in turn applying pressure onto the Taliban.
President Barack Obama is warning that this is going to be a long and bumpy road, although actually the first talks could happen within weeks. What do you think the chances are of these talks actually leading to a political settlement?
At this stage, they're largely symbolic, although these are the very tentative first steps, as we've heard, but we're not going to see any firm outcomes from these negotiations for some quite time.
What do you think both sides might have to offer and concede in order for these talks to be successful?
Both parties are still a long way apart on negotiations. So the United States wants the Taliban to lay down the weapons and to enter into the normal political discourse of Afghanistan. Now, Kabul has invited the Taliban to participate in next year's elections, though the Taliban at this stage are saying that they're not going to participate until all US forces are out of Afghanistan.
When you say the US wants the Taliban to halt violence, it also wants the Taliban to cut its ties with Al-Qaeda. How feasible is that?
I think that could be one of the points where they could make some ground. Al-Qaeda is not as strong as it used to be, and their support for the Taliban is not what it used to be. So now with Pakistan being a far larger supporter of the Taliban than Al-Qaeda is currently, now if Pakistan can apply pressure onto the Taliban, there might be some political compromise there.
If we look at the Taliban, in some parts of Afghanistan they're in a stronger position than in others, and in some parts they are involved in the social and cultural fabric of society. How accepting is the Afghan government itself of Hamid Karzai to actually getting involved with formal negotiations with the Taliban?
So at this stage, Kabul has said that they are willing to negotiate with the Taliban under some set of circumstances, one of which is that they have to say that they're going to stop violence in Afghanistan and enter into peaceful politics within Afghanistan. And that's something that the Taliban have yet to say they're going to agree to. Until that is settled, I don't see any formal negotiations between the government and the Taliban.
So we get the news today that the US is prepared to enter into talks with the Taliban. Who exactly will the US officials be talking to?
So the leader of the Taliban is still officially Mohammed Omar, but he is not going to be in Qatar at these negotiations. He will probably send some of his lieutenants, such as the people who the State Department have been negotiating with last year, such as Mohammed Talib Alaga.
And why wouldn't he go to the talks if he's worried about being assassinated, would he?
Yes, he's worried about being arrested and sent off to Guantanamo or sent off to the United States for trial.
So what else do we know about the leadership structure of the Taliban as they look to enter into this talks process with the United States?
So it's a very loose organisation. We have what is loosely called the Taliban are really a whole subset of different forces all fighting against the government and the coalition forces for different reasons. So you have some warlords, you have some drug dealers, you have some hardcore Taliban who are the ones responsible for these large-scale operations in Kabul itself, but out in the provinces you have militiamen from all sorts of walks of life.
So we shouldn't actually assume that the Taliban themselves are actually a united force and could come to immediate agreement on how to present themselves to these talks with the US?
That's right. So when the Taliban, if the Taliban do agree to anything with the United States, they'll have to go back and a whole set of negotiations commence between the Taliban hierarchy and all their offshoots.
It'll be interesting to watch. Dr. Adam Lockyer, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.